A very good evening to all. Dear student, lotus is an important flower around the world, not only in India, but it is used in for different use in many countries. But it is not so popular in terms of usage at home like other flower. We don't decorate our house often with rose, but still it has its own significance. Not and if we see in literature, not much has been written on this flower, as writer have preferred other flower. But there are some writers who have preferred lotus. Toru Dutt is one such writer. She has composed a poem entitled as The Lotus. Now, coming to Toru Dutt, she is one of the pioneer of Indian writing in English. She is a bilingual writer because she wrote both in English as well as French. It is sad that she died at a very young age. So, coming to her poem, The Lotus is from her collection of poems, Ancient Legend, Ballad and Legend of Hindustan. It was published with an introductory memoir by Mr. Edmund Gosse in 1882. It also has a quotation from Sir Philip Sidney's book Apology for English Poetry. The book is considered as the first book in the literature which had struck genuinely Indian note that reveals the sincerity of a mind proud of intellectual tradition of its native land. Actually, in those, it is more than 100 years back, and at that time, much was not written in English, and only other our native literature was flourishing at that time. And since the native literature was in our language and it was not known to the world, so these are the few literary work which has been uh, uh, popular around the world because it was written in English. So the poem Lotus is a sonnet comprising of 14 lines. In the poem, the poet personifies love and says that love asks Flora. Now, Flora is the Greek goddess of nature. So, love is asking Flora, the Greek goddess of nature, to provide a flower which has an undeniable ability to be the queen of all flower in the world. It is believed that among the flower there has been a well-known long-standing rivalry between two flowers, especially the lily and the rose, because people mostly prefer these two flowers for gifting and for decorating their houses. The fact is that both the flowers have received equal praises, as many popular poets among generation have praised their beauty by composing verses on them. But both the flower have distinct qualities which reflect their own uniqueness, and hence they cannot beat each other. As rose cannot be pale or tower splendid like a lily, and a lily cannot be as lovely as a rose. So they both have their own uniqueness, own specific quality which is different from other. But there is no completeness either in rose or in lily. So there are Greek myth associated with both the flower, as lily is sacred to Juno, the wife of Jupiter, goddess of fertility and protection. Rose is associated with Greek goddess Psyche. Considering all these factors, love claims a flower that has both the qualities of lily and rose, and in it means a flower that is beautiful like a rose and as stately as lily in terms of pride. So, a flower which should possess both qualities of both these flowers, that should be called as the queen of all flower. So Flora, after listening to his queries, asks a question. But what about color? The first choice of love being red, representing red rose, but later he chooses white, the color of lily. Being confused between both the flower, he asked for both the color, and so Flora gave him a combination of both, the beautiful, elegant pale, which was queenliest of all flower, lotus, in his hand. He gave lotus because it is a combination of red rose and white dried lily. Now, when we see the color of lotus, it is pink. Pink is a combination of both red and white. If we mix both these color, red and white, then the color which comes out is pink. So, in this poem, the poet is trying to highlight the importance of lotus flower. Actually, people prefer other flower like rose, lily, and different countries have different flower in their everyday use for gifting in bouquets. But it is lotus which is not used for gifting or mostly in decoration. But in India, after we got independence, it was lotus which was chosen as a national flower because it has a unique place in Indian ancient tradition, scripture, and mythology. The speciality of the flower is that though it remains in muddy waters all the time, still it is clean and pious, giving a message to all that one can remain a pure soul even though being surrounded by unclean atmosphere. It is this quality that it is used for religious ritual and ceremony. So this is a simple poem by Toru Dutt. Our Indian poet have basically chosen used to choose simple themes, and which were related either with nature or with religion in their poem. So Toru Dutt has chosen lotus as a theme to highlight its importance because we don't give much importance to this flower. So thank you. I hope you must have understood.